Girl, slay the house down boots, mama.
Now that was a bad choice.
Right. No. Don't try to change the subject. Spill the tea.
Okay, but what was she expecting?
Well, that bitch is crazy.
Honestly, pop off.
We should have talked first.
Can you blame her?
She should probably drink a little less. Literally.
Well, let's get into it then.
It's time to spill the tea with Damen B.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Spill the Tea with Damen B and Gigi.
Hey, hi everyone.
We're keeping it real today. We're talking about something that affects me every day outside my building, and it's homelessness.
Well, homelessness is seems to be an issue that's getting worse. Although it has been around forever, it seems to be something that is getting worse, and I don't know how we fix this as a society,
Um,
and I
I
don't
think
know how young people think about it.
I honestly think some people, like, I don't. Some people just don't want to be helped, and that's the truth. Like they just don't want help, but some people do want, and that's the thing. I find it's like, how can you sort out who needs help, or like who wants actual help and to get better, and who's you know they're not doing
Right, right.
anything.
Like I just saw an article where guy and girl, young, I don't know, mid-20s or late 20s, were like, we love being homeless. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's we don't need to work. We go and panhandle. We go to warm climates in the winter. We don't have to pay for a house. We don't have to pay for a car, and we love it. And I'm like, seriously, am I reading this correctly, or is somebody just putting this up? But it was in a news, like a verified news site. So, and it was in, I think either Florida or California, so a hotter climate area. And I just thought, oh my God, I don't know what that is. I don't understand that.
Um, I guess some people who don't have goals and aspirations. Sorry, your daughter's calling me. She should know we're podcasting. That's a little cringe.
Uh,
That's a little cringe. Um, Sorry about that, everybody. Um, well, some people just don't have goals and aspirations for their life. They're okay doing the bare minimum and just, well, apparently they got it all figured out. If they're in Florida or something and they don't need a house and they're living life, like, I don't know.
yeah, but I don't okay, I can't live literally without a toilet and a shower,
Me
okay?
either.
There's no doing it for me. I used to like camping when I was younger, so maybe I could see it when I was younger. Um, no, I'm not even camping anymore. That's over. All of that stuff. I want shower, toilet, sink. I want that. I've lived long enough. I've worked hard enough. I'm not, if I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to a nice bed in a nice hotel,
Right. Right.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't understand. Like, how do you wash? How do you, ugh, I just can't. Ugh.
I want to say the closest thing I've had, like, to an experience like that was when, well, two. One, I at my grandparents' cottage, we didn't have running water, we had no
But you were by a
electricity.
lake, right?
We are by a lake, so that's how we
Yeah.
washed
Yeah.
ourselves, and then we had
Right.
an outhouse,
Hmm.
which there was mice and spiders in there, and I hated that.
Yeah. I mean, I've
But,
done lots of that. Um,
um but then also, growing up, I was homeless with my mother for a little bit. We
true.
were just bouncing house to house, living in the car, sleeping in the car, eating Tim Hortons chili. I remember that. That was actually good. That was back when the Tim Hortons chili really slapped and they gave you a whole bun and not just half a bun.
Yeah.
Anywho, different conversation.
Right. Well, same conversation because
Yeah, yeah.
there are some people who I believe um, get into a situation that they didn't expect to get into.
Yeah.
And
No.
that's where I look at our welfare system and say, what the hell are they doing? You know, I know people that have been on welfare for 100 years, and then you have someone who doesn't expect to get into that situation with a child who's living
Oh,
in their
yeah.
car. And why isn't there an emergency service to help those people? And it's always like this whole thing. It's like a thing. And I have seen it and been there years and years ago. I understand that it's so difficult for someone to try and get welfare that
Yeah.
it's almost not even feasible. It's all a waste
Yeah.
almost of your time.
And what is that called? Co-op housing, I think? That system too. Is that a part of welfare? I can't tell. I think it's for, like, low income people,
Yeah,
co-op housing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and I remember we were on a list forever to get into co-op housing or whatever, and then when we finally got one, it was filled with cockroaches in the house or whatever.
yes,
So,
yeah,
I'm like, "Well, who wants to live there, like, with
yeah,
cockroaches?"
yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, I remember that. That was bad, and I don't know why anybody would expect people to live in that, but they do.
yeah, they're like, "Well,
So yeah,
we gave you an
maybe a
apartment."
tent as compared to that would be wonderful, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, compared to that. Um, but homelessness, okay, so I think I don't know how to describe it because I see homeless people every day, and it's almost a daily interaction. People ask me for money, not the people on my street because I see my face so often because I live right across from them.
Right,
Um, so there's a homeless shelter where I live right across the street from me, a
right.
slash safe instruction site to our listeners. Um, and sometimes you'll find needles on the ground, which isn't fun and isn't safe. But some of them are really nice, and some of them were very thankful. So usually in the wintertime, I go around handing out hats and mitts when it starts to
Oh,
get
that's
cold
nice.
out. Yeah, that's like makes me feel good. You just go to the dollar store and I ask
Right.
friends and family if they have any spare ones they want to get rid of.
Yeah.
And I hand them out. And most of them are grateful. And then I had, the couple that are like, why would I want that? I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
Okay.
sorry for
All right.
bothering you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I have some people who are just so grateful, and the ones I feel most sad for are the ones with dogs, like their pet owners. So I seen one in the subway, and I gave him hats and mitts, and I gave him 2 extra pairs of mittens so he could put it on the dog's paws,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the
Yeah.
dog's just laying on the brick ground and it's freezing, right? And I'm like, oh my god.
Well, I do think that homelessness right now is coinciding with drug abuse a
Yeah,
lot because I think what's happening is people are on some form of help, and every dollar of that help, because you don't get that much. Like I think you get $600 it and then you would get money for like low income housing. So they would
yeah.
pay that plus 600, but if you don't have housing, they just pay you $600. So $600 for a month is not enough to live on. You can't rent an apartment for that. You can't. So I mean right there, where is someone supposed to live? Um and I think you can't even live together with another person
I don't think
who's
you can
which
either.
which I think is crazy, because if you had 4 people that were making $600, you could rent an apartment together.
Hmm.
So I think we're kind of as a government forcing homelessness in a way with that, but we also do have a lot of jobs available right now.
We do, and that's the problem. So sometimes you apply for jobs, you don't get them, but that's
Mm.
more, I want to say, specialized fields. Whereas, sometimes you got to start at the bottom of the barrel, which are like customer service,
Mhm.
work service industry jobs. That's, I think, how everyone starts, really.
Sure. Yeah.
You can go
Yeah.
work on a farm, the cornfield stands or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, there's a bunch of jobs you can get that are minimum wage paying jobs, and sometimes you just gotta start from the bottom.
Right, and sometimes you just have to move.
That's
So
the other thing.
maybe your low income housing, there is none maybe in the city. Whereas
Yep.
if you were to move to a smaller community, maybe you would be able to get into an apartment on that income and then get yourself going and find a job. I think with the drug problem that we have for a lot of people, that has to end. And I don't know how that happens. I don't know how they stop this. This whatever that is. What is that? Not codeine. What are they taking?
Um, Fentanyl?
Oh, opioid. Yeah, the
Oh, opioids.
opioid
Yeah.
crisis, which is fentanyl and all that. This is causing a big problem. And I just
Mhm.
don't know because what they've done with mental health, and I do know the rules about this, is that went from being like over here where I could call and say, "Hey, this guy's acting crazy, lock him up," to over here where nobody can be locked up unless they ask to be. And
Oh, great.
I think like there's got to be some middle ground that we come back to, where if somebody is addicted to drugs, that instead of going, say, to jail if they get caught stealing or whatever, they might go to a drug rehab for X amount of months, and that continues, and they are held longer and longer until we get off the drugs. But I find now even our court system is so overwhelmed with these small drug cases that they're not even putting people in jail anymore over it.
Well, also, that's one thing. There was just a video the other day, it was like down the road from me. This guy, a homeless guy, went crazy on drugs, started smashing stuff, swinging on a fire truck, trying to like banging on cars, broke someone's like, back windshield and stuff. But it's like they do things like that because they get away with it. I seen someone they were asking, they'll stand in the middle of the road, even if it's a green light, and ask cars passing by for money. And sometimes if they don't get money, they'll, hit the window or something. And it's scary. And I don't think, like, we really need to do something about that because it does get super scary when they are super aggressive.
Right, and what the jails on the other side are saying, we don't want them.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
we're not mental health counselors. We can't get people off drugs. Like this is
Yeah.
not the place for that. But in Canada, we don't have anywhere to send them. It's either jail or the streets. And right now
Quebec.
this uh,
I'm kidding.
no, that's a solid idea.
Wait, hang on. Are we cooking right now? Is this a great idea?
Yeah, we're coming up with something here.
Well, hang on. Let's call Parliament.
Quebec. Oh, I'm sure they'd love that. Oh
Like,
my
what?
goodness. Nobody can
Oh,
understand each other. Yeah, that'd be fun.
oh, it would drive them nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Even more want more drugs.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
send them up north to the Yukon or something. Northwest Territories.
Well,
Oh no, they'll freeze. Never mind. No, 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 no.
I really think that like it is sort of an epidemic, although we do have
Yeah.
a very small society, so it doesn't affect us as badly as you see it in the United States. That's really incredibly bad. But
Hmm.
as like you see the talking heads talking about it, you don't see anyone doing anything about it. And I don't think we, as you and I, who work hard, pay a lot of taxes to live in Canada. We do. We
Yeah.
pay a lot of tax. Should be also then required to go out and buy and volunteer our time to help or stop on the street and inject someone with an antidote. Like I'm not comfortable with that, but that's what they're asking people to
Oh,
do.
oh yeah, the
You know,
Narcans and
and
stuff. Yeah.
right, the Narcan and like I'm just saying, as a tax-paying citizen, I think we're paying a lot of money in welfare. I think we're paying a lot of money um, already, and then we're required physically to do these other things like you're buying mittens and hats, and people are buying coats and blankets and things like that. Why, like, as a society, is our government not capable of looking after their people?
I mean, I don't even know what to do with them. So I don't think they like have a good answer, and that's why there are so many like tent cities, like in parks and stuff. There's so many tents up, and that's where they live. And then the city comes in and says, "Oh, you can't tent here," but it's like, well, where are they going to tent?
Right.
Like
Right.
so maybe they really should have more crisis housing or something for homeless people specifically, these what halfway homes or something.
Right.
And well, actually there are shelters out there and a lot of
Yeah,
them don't
and
go
they don't
there.
wanna go
Yeah, and I
because
don't
they're
want to.
held, and you can't go there and you can't be
Yeah,
high, you can't go there and you can't be
yeah,
drunk, you can't go there and start fights, you can't go there and have, women go into women's shelters, you can't have the guy that beat you up come and pick you up there, like, there's a lot of things that people, they say they need all this help, but when the help comes, it's not to their specification. They
yeah,
want it this way, and they can't have it. So, and the thing about these tent cities, honestly, I have never experienced this in my life, where you could go to a public place and set up a tent, or like, far as I know, being raised the way I was raised with the police, and i- you could not, like, if you did that, they would come in with a
oh
car, they'd throw you in the back and throw your shit in the garbage and go, okay, that's enough, like, this is not happening. So I, again, sometimes when someone's forced to do something, maybe they do it, get housing, move somewhere where they can have housing, stop. We do have in Canada, if you go to a hospital, an ER, and say, I want to stop taking drugs, we do have public rehabs.
do we?
Again, yes,
Oh
but
wow.
it's not the Hilton, okay? They're not the
Right.
greatest places in the world, and once you go there, like, you have to decide yourself, I'm staying here. Most
Well,
people
yeah.
go and leave because they can't do it. I think we should have where you sign yourself in, maybe you gotta stay, for 3 months or something like that, and right now, as the law stands, they can't make people do that, but they can kick people out of public places, and I'm not against that, because I actually
Yeah.
was raised in a time, like, I am proud of my cities and proud of cleanliness, and I just don't think that's appropriate. I think it's terribly inappropriate, and I nobody has the right, I don't feel like I have the right to go and set my tent up on your front door. I just don't.
I also think, yeah, I feel like, uh, how do I describe it? Like they really just gotta, I don't know. No one should be able to get away with stuff that homeless people get away with. Like they harass people a lot, and I'm just not talking for money. Like there was this woman who was walking in front of me. I would say she looked young, maybe like 22 or something. And there's this homeless guy, and he like was throwing his body on top of her and saying, "How's it going, cutie? Oh, damn, you look so hot," or
Oh,
whatever. And
oh,
she ran to the store. The store was closed. She was pulling
oh
on
my
the door trying to
god.
get in. So I ran up and put myself between the two, and he was like, "What? What are you doing?" And like, so I was actually quiet. I was such in shock that this was happening, like in front of my eyes. I didn't say anything, but she like ran and said thanks or whatever because I just told her to go, and it was just so crazy. And I'm like,
Yeah, and
people
why is
like,
that guy allowed to be on the street? That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
That's a criminal act, and
I
something
know.
should happen to that. And to me, again, the way I was raised, I would be put in jail for that. Like, that I would go to jail for. So I don't understand what is happening right now with our justice system, because I do know of someone who's been arrested now twice for selling all these different drugs, and the person has not gone to jail. And to me, if I was selling that kind of, like, I would have went to jail. I don't get it. What is happening? And you have people dying nonstop from these drug overdoses, and they're everyone, people's daughters and sisters
Mhm.
and brothers, and people just seem to go, "Oh well, oh well, another one dead. Who cares?" Like, it's almost like we're numb to it now.
Okay, so we're gonna come up with a solution right now. So let's not even take the whole of Quebec. Let's take half of Quebec. Let's give them the north.
The
Let's
upper
give them
half. Oh my
the
god,
upper half.
there's so
Oh,
much
yeah.
room up
There's
there.
beautiful places up
Oh,
there.
it's
Oh, they'll
gorgeous.
love it. So I'm saying let's rally them up, right? And we'll convince them. We're just gonna go. Okay, now it's starting to sound like, one of those Hunger Game movies. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking once a month we'll just drop a crate of stuff,
Yeah. Well, they might get off the drugs, and half of them might actually come out and do something with their lives. Like,
Oh,
that's the other thing. I feel like
yeah.
there's people that are in these encampments that maybe didn't grow up with the best whatever, background, or
Homes, yeah.
or they've gotten addicted to drugs, and it just never had the chance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that there's got to be some talent and some intelligence in some of these people that we're losing.
And
No?
I do wanna say I've never experienced addiction to drugs, but I feel like I know how easy it is to fall down that hole because my addiction is food. And when
Right.
I was depressed and stuff, I ate so much food. So if I did do drugs, I could just imagine, going down that hole and then
Yes.
not being able to get out. Like,
Yeah. But you're an intelligent person. You have, you know what I mean? Like, you
yeah,
do have the ability to have a good life, but you're stuck in that rut of
yeah,
drugs. And
exactly.
and you can't get out because nobody is sitting there going, oh, like, yes, in the back of their mind, but they're so addicted that addiction is what is fueling their whole lives. So
Hmm.
they're not sitting there thinking the forefront, oh, I need to stop this. They're thinking, where can I get some more? That's
Yeah.
their constant. And
And
so,
yeah,
like, they're not going to the hospital and saying, please put me in rehab. They're going somewhere, breaking in, getting some money, and getting more drugs. And so,
right.
what do we do? Like, I don't know what we do.
So I gave money to this guy because he said he wanted a Harvey's hamburger, and there's a Harvey's near me. And we were right outside the Harvey's. So I had some spare change and I gave him change. Well, 10 minutes later, when I see him again, he ain't holding no Harvey's hamburger. He's holding a 6 pack of beer.
Yeah, because that's how they're fueled completely that way. And so I feel bad because do believe truly it is an illness. Like,
Hmm.
I believe it's an illness. I don't believe you have a choice that you can just stop and be fine.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that at all. But when do we as society take responsibility, because that person can't, and say,
Yeah.
"Listen, enough's enough," And I think here's my solution, all right? This isn't bad. I think if somebody gets caught doing something illegal, and that includes taking drugs, okay? If you get
Okay.
caught with drugs on you, if you get caught breaking it, like, again, I know another person who's in my life, well, not that person, but his family, and
Okay.
he has broken in, I don't know how many times, to people's houses, stolen stuff, done all this, and not one time has he, well, maybe he's went to jail for like 5 days. And he is
Slap on the wrist.
totally addicted to drugs, and the only reason he's doing this is because he gets his check at the first of the month, and it's gone within the week on drugs. So then he has 3 weeks where he's jonesing for drugs, and he steals, and he cheats, and he lies to get the money.
And I don't think
So
it's right because I think life-changing events do happen to good people through actions of people like that. Like breaking and entering and stuff,
right,
that scars
right.
people and, oh, makes them afraid to, like, live, so
Yeah, and live in their
yeah.
homes, and sometimes they break in and guess what? Somebody's home. And they didn't think of
Yeah.
that, or they get in there and they're still drug addled and they do something that normally they would never, ever, ever do, except they get startled or something happens, or they just need those drugs so bad that they can't control themselves. And next thing you know, an 80 or 90-year-old man or woman has been beaten to death,
Yeah.
you know, and then the guy goes, well, that person finally goes to prison, but then, 2 years
It could have
later
been
goes,
prevented.
yeah, oh my god, I would never have done this. Like, he's just
Yeah.
a totally different person. So why can't we take, so here's my thing. Anybody who commits a crime, including having drugs on that person or overdosing, going to the hospital, being tested just like you are if you're drunk and driving, you get blood tests, and you've got oxycodone or any of that in your system that is illegal, then you get 3 months sentence, not to jail,
So
to
I
drug
yeah,
rehab, and you have to go.
I like that. See, I heard this really, really great, like, scenario kinda thing, so well, it doesn't sound great right now. But anyway, so this girl, her friend, got in a car accident because he was on drugs or whatever. He was addicted to drugs. He forgot he had taken the drugs and went driving and didn't wear off. Anyways,
Right.
flipped the car, whatever. And he was being charged with obviously reckless driving and all these other things. And it took thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to put him behind bars, for I think his sentence was like 12 years or something he actually did serve. So all that money to have him and this prison or whatever, she made such a great point. She goes, now why couldn't all that money go towards helping people with drug problems so they don't end up in situations like this? So no one cares when you have drug problems and you're doing all this, but the results people like care about. So why can't we stop the problem before it actually happens?
Right, and I feel like, you, like, we've done it again where we're all the way over here at human rights. Everybody
Yeah.
has rights, and I understand that. But when you break the law, okay, you're supposed to go to jail or be
Mhm.
punished. And at that point, you lose your rights.
Yeah.
Like, you have human basic rights, but
Yeah.
you lose your rights of all this other, like driving and being free and
Yeah.
all the rest of it. So to me, if somebody is breaking the law and they get caught, then there's punishment. And at that point, if you get caught with drugs or breaking in for drugs or you're high or whatever, why not be punished? What we should be building, not jails, but rehabilitation centers where we put people like myself, intelligent, like you, intelligent people who want to help. And so if you get caught, you go into a rehab, you're made to stay. You cannot leave. You have to go first time 3 months, second time 6 months, and it just goes on
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
on and on until
You got 5
you
years.
you get off of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or at some point, then you go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. Like, you're just not going to stop.
Yeah.
But then you get a real jail sentence where you will stop because you won't get out.
You won't be a part
And
of
but
society.
while you're in there, because jail is jail. Jail is like that's where it's like a timeout. You go there and you sit there and you think about what you did. You don't get anything.
Mhm.
This is where you would go and you would get free counseling, free job and education services, free whatever you needed to
Yeah.
become that person that you can become. Job training. Um, maybe when your last month or your last 2 weeks, you get put into a position somewhere, even if it's Walmart, you
Yeah.
know, like, and just start somewhere. But how, like, I feel like if we're in a liberal society like we're in right now, how come that's not happening? And that's where I'm disappointed in our government right now. very disappointed. Mr. Trudeau.
That's so
Mm-mm-mm.
true. That's so Trudeau. That's Grandma speaking facts. Uh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
we can either go with your amazing option, which
Mhm.
I fully agree with, or we could go with mine because Quebec, the north of
Okay,
Quebec.
alright, and so
That's
if
where
this
the facilities are. That's where the facilities are.
yes, yeah, we'll build them all there. Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrible. We love you, Quebec. We're just kidding. I'm sure nobody listens to us.
In Quebec. Well, they're French.
Right,
They're
yeah,
French.
but if you do, we love
Yeah.
you.
No,
Yeah.
I love you because we used to live so close to your border. So
Mhm,
when I
mhm.
was 18, I would go over and buy alcohol because you only have to be an
Absolutely.
18 in Quebec.
Right.
Sneak my way back over to
And the
Ontario.
cheapest alcohol,
So cheap. We
right?
love you, Quebec.
We love you.
Well, maybe we
Mhm.
should send the people, the rehabilitation people.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
So, that's how I look at it, and
yeah.
I think if you drug overdose, like, you wake up, guess where you are? And because you've broken the law. As long right? As long as you're doing illegal drugs, I'm sorry, but you're breaking the law, and enough of these tent cities. I no.
Yeah.
No.
I wanna be that person when they wake up and I get to explain to them where they are. I'm like, "Guess what, honey? Reality check. Northern Quebec, baby. You can't go nowhere."
Actually, and it would be a great thing, like, that would bring jobs to remote communities, and
Yeah,
what are they gonna do if they escape? I mean, where are they gonna go?
exactly. You gotta stay there for 3 months and catch the bus back
Yeah,
because
yeah, like, you're not if you
you can't
leave
go nowhere.
yeah, it would be bad to leave, yeah. So that
Yeah,
might be we could incorporate the Northern Quebec, Northern
yeah,
Canada, because nobody lives there anyway, and,
exactly.
but these would be like jail in the sense that, yeah, there would be wire fencing
Yeah.
and everything. You could
You
not
know
get out.
what? I would be willing to give them an option. I said, "Listen, the for the closest town to us is about 100 kilometers that way. But listen, if you can make it there within 3 days, you deserve to be free. So if you want to spend the night out in the wilderness, 3 nights,
Oh.
you go right ahead.
Yeah, with the
But
polar bears.
yeah, with the polar
Yeah,
bears, the coyotes, and the reindeer. But
yeah,
if you want, but if you want to get better and re-enter society and take a bus to that town, you could stay
yeah,
in this facility for three
yeah,
months.
yeah,
Up to you. No gun
yeah.
to your head.
Well,
you know?
I think there are options, but those options cost money. And I think our
Yeah,
government, um, while they're raking in all these dollars with this high gas taxes and everything else, maybe should be thinking about things like this because what I do is care. I do care about people. And I want
yeah.
our government to look after those that can't look after themselves. But I think there's several people, or many, many people in these homeless environments that can look after themselves if they were just given a little bit of help, a little
And
bit.
I want to say too, many of those people get those checks, that's supposed to support them for the month. So if we, take that money and put it towards these
Right,
facilities, at least that'll
right.
help with the cost
Right,
and
so when
reduce.
right, and even if when this person goes in there, so they're logged in there and that money goes to the facility for those
Yeah,
months. And let's stop giving free money and just saying, "Here, here, look
I know.
after it yourself." The person I was talking about, the young person who I knows, his family, they're just slapping that money, $600 or whatever it is. He just gets that. Nobody's looking after it. He's not capable of looking after it. Why are they giving it to him all in one chunk so he can go out and just get as much drugs as he can? I feel like it's almost like they're hoping he'll overdose. Like go buy
Mhm.
enough to do it right at the beginning of the month. And I bet you if we looked at our stats in Canada, the most overdoses happen in the first week of every month. I bet you
You
because
need to
they
write
just
to Stats Canada.
right, and they just keep handing this money out and there's no checks and balances. To me, give it to them once a week at least and be sure that their bills are paid and that their rent is paid and whatever
Also,
they're
I feel
doing.
like they should have, like, caseworkers, where they have to meet
Oh, they
somebody to get
don't.
it.
You know
That's
what? It
I know
is
they
just
should, though.
like, this person that I know his parents, and I've talked to them about that, don't they have a government liaison? Because he has mental issues, and don't they have a government someone who's looking after him, like his money and no, and in fact, that used to be a thing. That's no longer a thing that you can get
What?
a cover. Yeah. Yeah, which you think as these problems grow, that would be even more of a thing, but no, it's actually going by the wayside.
Okay, now what if all Canadians, if we all got together and we just stopped paying taxes because I'm sick of not I'm all like we get taxed on everything and it's so
Yes.
much money that
Yes.
then I get healthcare and stuff, but then it's like there's so many more issues that like I don't want to be taxed anymore.
Well, it's such a hard thing because people I know a lot of people go, "Oh, stop sending money over here overseas, when we can't afford." Well, we live in a first world country, and when you live in a first world country, what people don't realize is we are actually obligated to send a certain amount of money to third world countries and to help with wars and things like that so that the war doesn't come to us, it stays away from us. So we are obligated in a sense, which people seem not to know. And I don't know why they don't teach this in school because I read it nonstop online. I don't want to send any more money out there.
I'm
Well,
actually okay with like
you have to.
that part of like
Yeah.
sending money to those
There's
countries.
actually a global fund, and then there's a country fund. So there's 2 things going on, and we're the taxes that we pay are going into these 2 things. So, of course, you wanna make sure where they're going, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's being utilized properly, but
But that's the thing, I don't feel like the funds that we do keep or whatever are being utilized to its, like, full effect, and that's
yeah,
where I'm like, because even the healthcare system, it's pretty shitty, actually, like, I know we're supposed to have great healthcare, but then you go to some places and it's actually not great healthcare, so
yeah, yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
I don't know, like, for me, like, I've it's so hard because I do work in it and I see the things that are going on, and it's like part of it is them and part of it is us
Mhm,
because don't go to the emergency department if you have a scratch on your rear end, okay, and or a bug bite or
yeah.
like this is what's happening, and so the resources are being utilized. Like an emergency department is literally supposed to be for emergencies.
Well, the name, emergency.
Yeah, but everybody uses it like the local doctor's office,
Yeah,
and then when you actually do have an emergency, like, people are dying in the waiting room because somebody's got their kid in there with a bug bite. Like, put some stuff like calamine lotion on it and stay at home. I don't even stop it, and I see so much of that, so much. So there's a lot that's going on, but that also is part of the problem on the government's behalf of
yeah.
not clearly having other things that people can do or going somewhere else. So we have a lot of problems with government. And as you age, you start seeing it more and more, right? When I was young, I was like, I don't even care. I don't care what's going on. I don't care.
Oh, that's the thing. A lot of people on my age don't care. They're not political. They're apolitical or whatever. And I'm like, no, you need to care about these things because
Yes.
it's gonna affect us. We're the younger generation. It's gonna affect your kids. It's gonna affect, it
Yes.
affects everybody. Everyone should care about politics. Everyone should be involved because it's
And
your society.
especially for young people to understand is to get involved in local politics more so than your country.
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau, it doesn't matter who goes in. The next guy, the guy before him, my life has not changed from one politician to the next, from one prime minister to the next one. It has not changed in any way. My taxes have not changed. I have paid the same amount, like, nothing. I don't care what they promise you, nothing changes, okay? But locally is where you can make a real difference in what is happening around you right then and
Mhm.
there. Locally, like, you look at, um, u up north in, um, Temiskaming,
Yeah.
um,
Who's
what's his name?
Charlie Angus? John
Charlie
Van Topp.
Angus, John
Okay.
Van Toff, people like
Yeah.
that are making a difference in that immediate area, and so people in Toronto, like, in your local district, you can make a difference. You
Well,
can.
that's why I went and voted for
Yes.
our mayor.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah, you've
know?
got your mayor, you've got your even your premier of your province, you can make a
Yeah.
difference. Like, people I heard last premier election, a lot of people didn't vote because they were like, "Well,
Oh, it was
just."
like, what, 40%, I think? Or
Yes.
40 or
Yeah.
60, I
"We
forget the
don't
numbers with
care,
this
we're not
all.
gonna
Yeah.
bother." Just go vote because look what you're dealing with. I mean, he just broke a contract. Your premier just broke a contract with LCBO, 1 year before it came up, and it cost $220 million to the people so they can sell alcohol in the corner store. Who cares? Really, is that important that it costs 200, and over time they said over 10 years it's going to cost $1 billion. Who ca Like, do you gotta get your stuff? Like, you couldn't
I
wait
don't
1
know.
year to get your liquor in the
Listen,
corner
I did
store?
I didn't vote for him. I did not support that decision. I tried to
Yeah.
get other people to vote, and you know what I hate? Is when people bitch and complain, and I was like, "But did you vote?" And they say,
Yes,
"No."
and
And that's the
nobody
thing.
has the right to bitch and complain. If you don't vote, shut up. Shut
Yeah,
up. You have
shut the fuck
no
up.
no right to complain. You get what you get. That's
Yeah,
what's
if
going
you
on
don't
right now.
vote. And
Right.
you know what I also hate? Is I'm not a huge fan of Justin Trudeau, but
Me
what I
neither.
really hate is when people have the sign saying "fuck Trudeau" and stuff. Because you know what, I was like, if you really want change, you need to vote. That's what
Mhm.
you need to do to make change. You need to, gather your community and say, this is why we shouldn't vote for this person. This is why we should vote for this person, and try to make change that way. I don't think people need all that extra stuff.
Well, and I have said this over and over about that. I'm not a big fan of Trudeau either, and I never was. I didn't actually vote for him at all. I haven't. Um, but I will say this, I was raised to respect, and I think that's lacking these
Mhm.
days, is the fact that I respect my prime minister. It doesn't matter who it is. I may not like him,
Yeah.
but I respect his office and I respect the person who's there because it's not an easy job. I would not want that job, and many of us, many of us could not do that job. Whether he's doing a good job or a bad job, it's a hard job. So, number 1 is respect. Number 2, I think it's the most inappropriate thing I've ever seen in my life is to see the FUCK on a flag that children walking down the street can look and see. Not only are you saying a swear word, but you're also swearing at our highest
Prime
office.
Minister. Yeah,
I think it is the most inappropriate, disgusting, childish, awful thing I've ever seen in my life. It literally gives me anxiety and it makes me feel like we're living in like
right.
Al Qaeda or something. You see those trucks going down the road with
Yeah.
the big flags. All you need is a couple of guys in the back with guns, and we're
Yeah.
the same people.
America. It's kinda
Or
like
there, yeah. I can't. But that's
but
where they're
yeah.
taking it from. They're saying FUCK to it's they have their flag down there to Biden. So we're just the people here are just copying what they do down there, which is
Yeah.
sad in its own right because can you not come up with an idea on your own?
But also, I'm just like you said before, you've lived your life, you've had so many different governments, and it never changes, really.
No.
It really never changes.
No.
What do
You
you think's
know
gonna
where I've
happen?
seen change is at the local level. I have seen Charlie Angus make a difference in the indigenous communities in Northern Ontario. I saw John Van Toff make a difference in our community in
Mhm.
different things there, and they weren't even the same government. Like they're what, NDP, and the whole time it's been liberal and conservative prime ministers.
Yeah.
So it's in your locale that you're making that difference, and what they do, like the higher governments, they're really not affecting you. You're going to pay the same tax. This
Yeah.
country runs on that amount of tax or more. So good luck. That guy
Like,
that goes in is not going to lower it.
I'm sure there's some decisions out there
Mhm.
that will affect, but again, it's not like it's not major. Like, yeah, you're right. It's the premiers and like your local because, well, to be honest, I kind of want to move outside of Ontario. Like, there's just some things, but
Yeah.
again, I still respect the person in the position. Like, in my communications degree, we've learned, you know, you have to step outside the politics when you're working and stuff, and you still address them as your honorable Doug Ford. That's what you have to say when you write a letter, especially when you're trying to get
Yeah, and
something.
what I say always is just imagine in the opposite. In the opposite. So let's just say coming new election coming is
Mhm.
the conservative government goes in. Are they, the conservatives, going, would they be happy if I went down to Ottawa with my truck and parked it in the middle of the street with a big FUCK Paul of Air and walked up and said, "Well, all I want is for you to step down. Like, why can't you do
Yes.
that?" Would they be happy with that? No, nobody would be. So, what my point is, that's being bullyish and being really rude
Hmm.
and really, really just have no couth whatsoever. It's just disgusting to me. It's disgusting behavior. Stop it.
Okay, we gotta turn this around because I think the topic was homelessness. We got a little
Oh
off
my
topic.
god, and here we are 46 minutes on government. We're gonna have a government convo. Or did we just have it?
Well, I think the first 30 minutes was about homelessness, and then we kind of trickled down.
Oh.
However, the things go hand in hand, though, because the people who can affect homelessness is the government,
Oh,
and we're the
and,
community.
Trudeau or Polivera, you can use my idea. I'm not even gonna charge you for that one.
And you can use mine because
Quebec.
Quebec isn't even a part of
Doesn't even
Canada.
yeah.
They don't want to be a part of Canada. Like, that was the thing. Oh my
Oh,
god. Honestly,
oh. We're gonna have another podcast about this.
okay, we should do a geography podcast too because I suck at geography and
Oh,
we can go
really?
through all the provinces and stuff. Oh, the worst
Oh,
time. Don't ask me about
really?
Europe. Don't ask me anything about across the ocean. All I know is Canada, US, Mexico. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom.
Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe we'll have to have a lesson on geography. That was
I
one of
like.
my favorite courses, so
Oh,
I'm not
great.
too bad at it. America, I'm not really good with the states, but I
Oh,
have
you
a
don't need.
general idea of where they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know Florida was so close to Cuba, if I'm getting that
Oh,
correct. Yeah.
well, you should, okay, we're gonna save this for another
Okay,
one
we're
because
saving this.
yeah, yeah,
We're saving.
we're gonna put a, what do they call that? A stopper in this or
We're
whatever.
we'll put a pin in it. We'll put a pin in
Pin.
it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks everyone for listening, and we hope you have a great
Thanks.
day.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, I'm your host, Damen B, and I hope you enjoyed spilling the tea with me.